Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Our constitutional values come from a Christian ideology. It comes from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you said something that was brilliant a while back. And again, I don't want to put the false impression into our listeners here by saying that this, but when you made the case for Jesus was the first libertarian.
Yeah, that's probably true. Because he was. Like, just from what I know of libertarians and what Jesus was saying, and like, because I don't know, because I'm only listening to what other people say.
Yeah.
So, but that like people said like he was hanging out with prostitutes and rich people, poor people. He didn't care. He was just like hanging out with everybody, and so he didn't really care if you were a thief. Because I think somebody said like the first guy in heaven was a thief or something like that, or something. I don't know.
The man that was crucified next to him was the first guy into heaven through him, through Jesus.
Okay, so
through
but
believing in him. Yeah.
So if that's the case, then yeah, you got to call him a libertarian because because that's what a libertarian would do. Like libertarians, they don't care. They're gonna treat you like they'll respect you and they'll respect what you do. But then they'll still want you to act decently. You know what I mean? Because as long as you're not hurting anybody, then I think that's like the only rules libertarians have.
But I think libertarianism is a political ideology that came out of some of those values. I would not say this. I would not say that Christianity has anything, nor does it condone what libertarianism stands for. Because one is a belief in Jesus, and one is a man-created system that they think individuals would best suit their lives by living by. So I don't want to ever conflate the two, because here's the thing. Me throwing that out there is just a theory. It's got nothing to do with conservative. Okay, so here's another thing we got to talk about. Because Republican, conservative, Christian, libertarian, they may share qualities. All of them are very, very uniquely different. And I think people are, even in the right, like when we talk about the right and the left, like we did in the first episode, in the right, people are very, very different, because there's like people who are conservatives but are very, very socially libertarian. Like when I say like they don't care, like here's the thing, and I've said this, I've changed my stance on this. I don't think marijuana is good for people. I used to say I don't care marijuana. Well, so that's what I'm saying. Like a conservative, right, who was socially libertarian would be like, I'm all for marijuana legal. I'm all for marijuana. Everybody should be able to use marijuana. I'm going to be an advocate for marijuana. I don't know if I agree with that anymore. I said that a few months ago. Now I'm like, I think now I'm even more conservative than I used to, because I just don't think marijuana like is good.
Well, look, marijuana is like,
but I heard it off of Savage. Michael Savage talked about this, and he's just like, there's no way. And the thing is, like, Savage has some authority on it because he's a botanist. And he's
he knows.
The strains of it now do more long-term damage to your brain today. Like, if you started smoking pot today, in 30 years, you're going to have some problems.
No,
Michael Savage is saying it. I'm just like, I don't want to put words into Michael Savage's mouth, but he talked about marijuana a few weeks ago. He's like, yeah, this ain't good for you. Like,
No, but he's accurate, because like my boys that grow, they stopped growing because they were saying that with the pesticides being used, the rat poisons being used, it's just tainting everything. So like they gave up on it because they said it's going to be too highly regulated, because there's too many people growing that just don't care. They're they just don't care. They have no scruples.
Well, so that's another interesting thing, because I've encountered two different types of marijuana users. I've encountered the marijuana use who had been using it recreationally for such a long time that, like, And I'm gonna be honest, like my dad was one of those people. Like he used recreational. He did use marijuana. I mean, he's openly admitted this. Told me about it. He's like, dude, stay away from pot because he's told me like I don't remember things as well. I feel like I don't. No, I know that sounds like what a stoner would say, but
see, nobody believes me when I say that.
No,
I never told you that. Yeah, that's like, true.
It's not just my dad. Like people from the 70s who don't use and they're like don't smoke pot. They said, dude, I used to smoke pot in the 60s and 70s, and that was nothing compared to the strain that you're up against now. Like the marijuana now is like 20 times more potent than the stuff we were smoking in the 70s. And the thing is, we find that now as we're older, like we're slower, like we're not alert. We're just kind of mellow because it's got a long-term effect where it's like, dude, like my dad even told me, he's like, I just don't remember things well. Like he even told me, like, dude, straight up, there's a period in the 80s, like from 81 to like 80. I don't remember anything. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding.
Why? Because his brain was still developing. And because like my boys, the ones that grow, I don't know if this is true, but he told me he started smoking after he turned 40. And he said, yeah, because never touched it when he was a kid growing up and when his brain was developing. See, like right now, your brain is still developing. I believe your brain stops developing like at 28 or 30 or something like that.
Right.
And it's set. So if you're smoking pot as a teen or a young adult, you're fucking up your brain, and I think your dad might have done that. And
he's fine, but he's fine. He didn't do it for as long as most people. But here's another thing. I want to talk about the second type of person. So I've met the long-term, old school marijuana recreational user, and then I've met the more shorter-term person who had smoked pot like through their 20s, and then they stopped like a month ago because they say they can't focus. Like they used to think that marijuana used to mellow them out and make them focus, and now they're telling me they're not creative anymore. Like, dude, I started smoking pot at 16. I quit when I was 26 because after a while, you don't want to do anything. You just want to sit around and not do anything. Yeah, it's a remedy for feeling stressed out, and you can sleep easier, but you just can't think. Like you're not sharp. Like I don't think that anybody who's a high-performing individual, like a businessman, a politician, a judge, a lawyer, like a high-performing individual, like they don't use that stuff. They will not say that marijuana is what keeps me going. It's like my mental state. Because, dude, it has to come from within. Your mind is like the most powerful thing, right? And if you put stuff in there that stunts it, like there's guys that tell me like, dude, and they're brilliant consultants. Like, dude, I smoked pot all through my 20s. I just can't perform anymore. And I think I'm like tired all the time and my diet's on point. They're like really fit, but they're like, dude, I don't remember stuff as easy. I'm not very creative. And when people talk to me, like sometimes I just fade off. Like they literally will have lapses mid-conversation because they believe it's attributed to long-term marijuana use. Stay away from that stuff. Like, so what I'm trying to say is to tie it back to conservatism. I think that is also something because you're compromising your mind, right? It's just like, I don't think I'm an advocate for marijuana legalization anymore. Or like, if we're going to legalize it, okay, I get like hemp products, but dude, for people to be smoking it up every single day, like you're doing some problems. Like you're 10 years from now, you don't feel it now, but you're going to be part of that generation where we just got stoned and played video games. It's like, dude, in 10 years, you're not going to remember anything. Like,
well, and my thing is, why are they pushing it? Why does the left push for it?
Because it makes people dumber.
Exactly. And when you're dumb, you can be controlled.
Dude.
And that's how it works.
So I have a brilliant friend of mine, a very close friend. I won't name who he is, dude, but he started smoking pot in 9th grade. We were about 14, right? This was in China. Dude, you got busted in China for smoking weed. In Chinese, we have a word for it called dama, which is hilarious. That just means it means marijuana in Mandarin. And he started smoking pot in high school in like 9th grade. Like really, he's just like full on. He would smoke like, I don't know, like a quarter, like however much, a quarter of an ounce or whatever. I don't know, he smoked a lot. I talk to him now. He's not all the way there. And I say that with love. Like I care about this guy dearly, but I talk to him. It's like, he was a smart kid. He's not as sharp as he used to be. And he's just like, dude, I just feel good, bro. I'm like spiritual and stuff. I'm like, dude, you're a moron. Like you don't know anything and you don't do anything with your life. You don't like. It's like,
and he's gonna be on welfare. Do they got welfare in China?
No. He lives in the States now. I just meant in high school, because I went to high school overseas in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Guy for 6
Oh, and then
years,
when he came back, he was dumb as fuck.
but he became no. And the thing is, at least, and this is not to justify it, but the weed in Shanghai that he was getting, that we were getting, I didn't smoke in Shanghai, but like what he was getting it from like Shenzhen or is a province, and it's not very good. The strain is not as potent. He came to the United States after having smoked a lot of weed there, lived in California and LA, typical for a year. It just blew his brains out. Like, he was really, really high, and he was high all the time. And I remember distinctly, this was in 2013, which I know, I was in college then, and he called me his freshman year, right? He like dropped out of school his freshman year, decided to go to like community college or whatever, and it still didn't make it through. And I honestly think it has to do with his marijuana usage. I don't think it's because people don't like him or he's not smart. Like, he wasn't the best student, but he was a smart guy. He's like you, where it's like academics just didn't agree with him, but he was a very creative dude. He would build stuff. Like, this guy was an artist, but then he smoked so much pot that he like doesn't do anything. Like, he just doesn't do anything. Like, how do you just not do anything? And the more and more I think about it, I listen to Dr. Savage talk, and some of these people, it's like, I'm even more conservative now with like recreational drugs. Like, I know Joe Rogan peddles marijuana stuff. I'm like, Joe, you're fine. But Joe also, like, he's very active. But I'm willing to bet that if he didn't smoke pot, if he wasn't an advocate for hallucinogens or marijuana or that, he would be twice the fighter he is. Because I know Joe Rogan's a martial artist. Like, I think that guy would be a killer. Like, that guy could kill people, you know? And it's like, I think he would be a little bit more present.
No, but
Joe Rogan's a smart dude, but it's like he's high all the time. Like, Joe Rogan's high all the time.
But hold on, no, Joe Rogan admits to not understanding what his guests are speaking about. He'll admit it. He's like, dude, when you guys talk about these numbers,
no, dude, that happens. Like, I think one time he had Jordan Peterson on, and I'm totally butchering this. By the way, for people who are listening, I love Joe Rogan. I love Jordan Peterson. I say this with love. The Jordan Peterson has this thing, right? And Jordan Peterson is like that guy where he'll talk about a concept and he'll make it more complicated and then simplify it. Like, he'll say things like, oh, all the postmodernists believe that free speech should be abolished, blah, blah, blah. And then he'll inflate it and say, well, that depends on what emotion is or what truth is. And then Joe Rogan will sit there and just be like, huh. like that's all he can say. And he's like, yeah. Jamie, can you pull that up? Like that, you know what I mean? It's like he's not following. Like, he's just kind of going like, yeah, that reminds me of a buddy of mine that we were on DMT together, and I think I know what you're talking about. But Jamie, would you mind pulling that up so we can like look it up? Like that. So here's okay. This is a segue, but I'm glad we're talking about this. There was that time where Candace Owens went on his show and was debating.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I think if he wasn't high, I don't know if he was high, but I think Joe Rogan's too nice. He should have challenged her a little bit more.
He doesn't challenge.
He doesn't challenge. He's
That's
just
why
like,
I really don't watch him too much.
That's the thing. It's like Joe Rogan was just like, Candace, this is a very complicated NASA, Scientific American, Nat Geo. You're calling them all wrong. And she's like, well, I don't believe in like a .com. You know, it's not a .org. I don't. You know.
No, but see, but that drew like, because I honestly don't know much about Candace Owens, and it's just a personal thing. I hate to attack other blacks, but man, I just don't like this chick because she's, you know, it's just she's like, to me, she's like, what's that dude, Al Sharpton?
Oh, whoa. Al Sharpton's on the left, man. That guy's like a raging.
They are identical. Al Sharpton and Candace Owens are like two birds, like, you know, two wings of a dove. You know, they talk about Puerto Rico and Cuba. They're two wings of a dove, right? Like, you got Cuba with one wing and Puerto Rico the other wing. It's like Al Sharpton is one wing, and you know, you can't have a dove without two wings. And you have Candace on one, but they're both the same. They're peddling garbage, and neither one of them are that educated. You know, I mean, I don't know if they're educated or not, but like, because I liked what she did the other day.
Yeah, respect.
She was on Congress, and she held her ground, and she didn't buckle, and she caught it when the dude was misquoted her. She snapped at him really quick.
Congressman Leo was just like,
Yeah, well, not just
Hitler
Trump,
recording.
but the Nadler too.
Nadler, yeah.
The
Chairman.
chair. Yeah. So the chair automatically try to say that, hey, don't call us dumb. And she goes, I didn't call you dumb. You're misquoting me. You know what I mean? That's not what you guys aren't listening. And so she was on that. So like, there's something good about her, but it's just too bad. She's just one of those like, race peddlers, and she's just like Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know anything about history. She knows nothing about how things actually works. Like if you were to tell her, how would you help these people in the ghetto? How would you get them out? She would have no clue. She was like, oh, they have to be self-reliant. Like, it takes a lot more than self-reliance to get out of the streets. You got to have a little help. Because if I didn't have my crew, and I had multiple crews, and if I didn't have any of these guys, I wouldn't have been here today.
But see, the thing is, I have to say this, and I know conservatives will disagree with me, but I'm just gonna
whatever you say, don't blow your thing that you're doing, because I don't want you to say something that's going to contradict what's going on with walkaway or whatever it
with
is.
What? With
the walkaway movement?
No, not that. Walkaway is cool because this is, but the thing is, this is irrefutable. Is like she had a transformation where she became more conservative, so-called conservative. But this is regardless of her history, I'm not going to be the first one to say if she's a real or like a fake, right? But what I will say is this. And this is something that I will say on here that is true. For somebody who claims that people don't have to be victims, black people don't have to be victims, they can leave the Democrats. When she gets called out on things, man, does she act like one. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't have to look at where she came from. Hey, if you really believe in what you believe, cool. More power to you, fine. But for somebody who, as recently as last month, has said, hey, we don't have to be victims. Stop being victimhood. She pushes the whole victimhood mentality thing. You'll probably hear her say victim more than the other word. But let me finish. Like, she'll say that, but then when she gets criticized or gets called out for anything, she acts like one.
No, but that's the point. She played
That's all I'll say.
Part. No, she goes.
Candace Owens can keep doing what she's doing, but dude, like, stop acting like a child when people say things like.
Well, she said that to Congressman Lou. She literally said that's like, oh, you think all blacks are too stupid to do this? And see, that's the kind of crap she said. That's what she said, and that's.
Okay, can I just say something? What an emotionally driven response.
No, but see, but that's her tactic. Her tactic is using left type tactics. Is like, oh, we'll just flip the script.
Yeah, it's like, are you saying all black people are? Are you claiming that we're all racist? It's no, like, calm down. Like, no one is saying that. Like, dude, okay, so that massacre in New Zealand, right? About the whole terrorist.
But the sad thing is, it actually did work. Like, it worked, and it threw Lou off, and it threw Nadler off. So now she's looking like a hero.
What? No. Let me say this right here. It threw them off because they're Democrats.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know anything. But let me tell you this. So this probably wouldn't happen because of the context, because conservatives would like to be for free speech. But if it were a black conservative, and I mean a black conservative, asking those questions, doesn't work.
Yeah.
She will not. You will never see her kind of talk head to head with black conservatives.
Nope.
You won't. You just won't see it. She will not debate another black conservative. Not that she would debate, but you won't. Like, black conservatives, like, know their stuff. From what I've come across, like, black conservatives are smarter than white conservatives. It's almost like you guys go from being dumb in the Democrat. No offense, but you know what I mean? It's like you go from like, and then once you become a conservative and you're black, you're like more informed than white conservatives. So,
no, but it's true.
It's true. It's true. I've never met a dumb black conservative. I never have. And I'm not saying that they're all smart or all dumb, but I'm just saying that put Candace Owens in front of a black conservative and she would be destroyed. It's like, dude, people prop her up as the savior of the black community, getting people off the Democrat plantation. It's like, there's been tons of black conservatives who've been doing that for decades. You got Shirley Huzar, got Sonny Johnson, you got Tree of Logic, you got Roland Martin. It's like,
God, honest, I don't know any of those people. I've never heard of anybody.
Okay.
But like when I met you, I've heard of Tree of Logic, but other than that, I don't know.
But what I'm saying is black conservatives have been around, okay, long before she showed up and long after she's gone. There will always be black conservatives. You know why? Because they're black conservatives by life. Not because they're making money or because they're being propped up. It's like, I have no choice but to be a black dude. One amazing story, right? I met a guy at the Walkaway March, black guy, big black guy. And I always tell this to people. It's like, he said to me, hey, I watched your white privilege video. Keep doing it because I agree 100%. I go, really? And this is when I was still new. And he said, dude, I have been homeless. I've been thrown in the prison. I've been poor my whole life. And I've never been a victim of racism. Because he acknowledged that it was all his actions. And it's like, dude, that's a black conservative right there. Where it's like he's been thrown in prison, discriminated by cops and everything. But he's like, no, dude, it's because of my lifestyle. Like, I made bad choices in my life. It got me to where I got. I was homeless and poor, and I came from a homeless, like a poor family. But I'm not that anymore, all because of choice. And I've got, like, respect. That's a black conservative right there because it's like he has no choice. He's in the position he's in because he's a conservative, not because the government decided to give him an extra check every week.
But here's the problem that most conservatives and liberals make. They got this idea that they got to save or do something for the black community.
And that's why I will never speak for Asian Americans in this country. Because your experience, no. You're an American. You're an individual. If you're Chinese and you look like me and you think like me, great. But I'm not here to get you off. Like, dude, the girl I was hanging out with last night, she's a liberal. But I can hang out with her, and it's like, I'm not here to liberate you from the Democrats. By the way, I don't think Asians care one way or another. I'm just going to say that off the bat for some of them. But the thing is, it's like, people have even told me, it's like, dude, you're an Asian conservative. There's not many like you. I'm like, dude, you would be surprised. There are more Asian conservatives out there than you think. They're just quiet about it. I am not the savior of the Asian community, getting them all to vote right. It's like, dude, like, they can think for themselves. If I look like them, yes, we kind of connect with people that look like us, relate to us, but make your own choices. What the problem is, she's this young black conservative, and she has a messiah complex. I am here to liberate you from the black. True. You go to any Brexit rally, and it's like 90% white people in the audience. It's like,
he loves that attention.
If you want to do this right, go into the community. Do what Shirley Huzar does. That's what some of these black conservatives do. That
What's her name? What's her name? Shirley who? I gotta see what she looks like.
Shirley Huzar. She follows me on YouTube, and I've been on a stream with her a couple times, and she opened my eyes up. And this
Shirley Huzar?
Yeah, Husar. She's a black Republican, black conservative woman, and like
Husar.
Husar. Yeah, I know we're naming her on air here, but she's great, you know. And I've talked to her on a live stream a couple times on somebody else's show, and yeah, it's like. It's not like black conservatives showed up when Candace. It's not like black conservatives showed up when Candace Owens showed up. They've been around for as long as the Republican Party has existed.
Yeah, dude, come on.
It's like, you know, why? I just that's the only
bangable, but I guess I don't know.
All right, we got to leave those comments now. Come on now. Gotta act civil.
She had boobies. No, she got a dress on. Jesus, you see her pictures? I'm thinking, my gosh, she got some jugs.
Okay. Look at you. You're acting all thirsty again. See, that's how I know you're from the Bay Area and you being black. It's because of how thirsty you are most of the time. Like Bay Area black dudes are
from this Morgan Stanley thing. And
okay. But what I'm trying to say,
yeah.
It's like, you get what I'm saying with conservatism, right? It's like there are people who are a little.
You know why I don't meet people? Because this is all I think about. This is all I think about. But what does she do? She's urban game changer. She leads the urban leaders who are changing the grassroots.
Yeah, she's great.
By Schwarzenegger.
California too.
I bet you I'll blow her mind. Destroy her.
What's up with you and destroying people?
Because like a lot of physicists are wrong with what their beliefs and what they're being taught. And
Yeah.
I want to change how people. No, because the whole thing about black holes and all this stuff, it's all fake. I'm telling you, it's.
I want to see you in a room with Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about black holes, and you just being like, black holes are fake. They don't exist.
Yeah, they don't exist. I said because it's this great gravitational pull. But I'm telling you now, we don't understand.
You, Alex Jones, and Neil deGrasse Tyson need to get into a room together because it would just be the funniest three-way conversation.
She's a physicist. Shirley Hussar, she's a physicist.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, and like I'm reading her bio. Dude, I'm telling you, because you know what? You know why she's showing off her body the way she shows off her body? Because she grew up being a nerd. Oh, I know, without a doubt. She grew up because, dude, you don't become a geophysicist dressing up like a hooker. You know what I mean? You don't do that. You are a nerd upon all nerds. You know, like, and I'm telling you now, you know, the only reason why, because I grew up with no education, but I became educated because, you know, I got into some trouble in high school. And then, like, I actually started college at 16, and it was just to get money. And
what? You got to spend money to go to college?
No. They would give me money to go to college. No, they were giving me grants and stuff to go to college because I could test well.
Athletics, right?
Well, no. Well, this is when I was 16. So technically I was still in high school sports, but I got into college because I tested well and I can get grant money. So it's just another hustle, right? So anyway, so with the grant money, you know, I actually did go to some of these classes that I was interested in. So I liked human biology, and they let you work in cadavers. So that was cool. And, but anyway, so something happened and they made me go back to high school. And, but I was forced to, like drama, public speaking, the academic decathlon, stuff like that. And they were nerd. All of them were nerds. So I know how they were growing up because they were nerds. All of them. There wasn't one sexy, not one of them was sexy. They all dressed up. They're all like Muslims, you know, covered up, you know, head to toe, you know, and you couldn't see anything. And now that she's an adult, pow, she's just like, I got these, and she's proud of her sexuality.
Good. Let her do what she wants to do. I think that's
my point.
That's what women do. They make themselves look good to appeal to men, and I've said that openly.
No, but dude, you could tell. Like, that's why she's so now. Like, I knew when she was growing up, she was one of them nerdy types. Because, dude, I know she's highly educated. She's a highly educated woman.
Yeah, she's really, really informed, very smart.
And now she's exploring her wild streak.
Okay.
I mean, but then some of these pictures, she's not. Oh, but man, see, a lot of these photos, she has to be like a D.
All right, Steve. You know Wendy's in the next room, right?
She's with? Who's she with? Who's she with? She's with some white guy. I'm like... host, presenter, but anyway, yeah. No, but she's super smart. This chick.
But what I'm saying is, like, if you put.
So so why were you guys talking?
I was on a stream.
She's 5'8".
I was on a stream with one of my buddies, Uber guy, Jimmy J, and she was talking because we had spent time in Washington D.C. he was there for Turning Point USA. I was there for Walkway, and we hooked up then. We talked. So I got on a stream with them, you know, a few days after. Yeah.
Cool. No, she's a Christian. It says Republican.
That's what's up. Okay, so back to my point, man. Let's talk a little bit more about that. The whole conservative libertarian thing. So how about, what are your thoughts on marijuana? You think people should be smoking weed?
I'm against all drugs. Anything that's mind altering, I'm against it. I'm against alcohol. I'm against it. Just, dude, that's
funny because Joe Rogan thinks of it as mind expanding. So he has a lot of DMT stories.
Because he's not that smart. Seriously, like, okay, so here's the thing, like, and the counselor, we got to keep calling her counselor because we got to protect Wendy now.
You just said her name, but we'll call her. Well, we won't say her full name.
No, but people aren't really listening now. But when they do, we'll just, because I don't want people to. But anyway, no, because, dude, the one thing about being a lawyer, it's highly regulated, and anything that we say can honestly get her disbarred. And it's crazy. That's how stupid the system is. It's you know, they make it so hard and so complicated that on purpose, so that way nobody will ever challenge the establishment. So if you get somebody like the counselor, you know, who can challenge the system, she poses a real threat to the establishment. You know, and not just her, but people like you're going to pose a real threat to the establishment, because you know, I don't pose a threat to anybody because, you know, I don't have the wisdom like you guys got. You know, I'm too.
Yeah, but you got the knowledge though. You've got the life experience. You know
No,
how
I'll
this.
never change. Like, I'm not kidding. I can't change. I can't. Like, my first gut reaction when I saw Shirley, boom, knockers. You know, and I can't stop myself. It's just.
Wait,
You
but
know, like,
but your fiance is your one and only right now, right? You're not like.
Yeah, well, no, that's the point. If I didn't have her, I'd probably be chasing hookers down. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, dude, but there's a reason
Dang.
why people are where they're at. Like, I'm always going to be like one of those field agent type of people, always working, because that's what I was built to do. But if you have somebody that really, because, like, I don't know if this is just a man thing, but men need an anchor. Like, seriously, they need to be tied down. If not, they're like a boat. You're going to be floating around everywhere. You know what I mean?
Really?
That's what boats do. You know what I mean? And then if you don't have an anchor to hold you down and get you focused to where you need to be, you're going to be screwed. And I think I've been successful for the, you know, past couple of years is because of this. You know, if it wasn't for the counselor, dude, I'd be, you know, just chasing what, because, dude, I would have no interest in talking to anybody. I wouldn't. Why would I care to talk about this or that? I don't care what people do. Seriously, I don't believe like what you just said. You're not the voice for Asian people. I don't believe blacks need saving. It's, you know what? It's just a cruel world, and that's what happens. We're gonna eat each other in the end. And if you're not sovereign, you're going to be somebody's dish. You know what I mean? And look, I'm never going to be eaten by anybody. And I don't care, blacks, whites, I don't care who gets eaten up. I don't care, because, you know what? I don't need them. And since I don't need them, I don't care. But see, now that I have somebody, he's keeping me grounded. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm part of a family. I'm part of a community. So, you know what? I think it's the right thing to do. And then, like, I'm learning a little bit about God and, you know, reading stuff like that. So I'm thinking, you know what, maybe there is something to something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do know now, no, I'm just learning a lot, like just from what I'm able to do for my own abilities and my understanding of the universe and science and stuff like that. Now I'm realizing everybody's wrong. And this whole God thing probably is realer than what I know or even care to admit. Because, you know, being an atheist for so long and being my own God, you know, it's hard to admit these things like, oh man, you know, we need somebody. So yeah, I needed the counselor to stay focused. And I believe everybody needs an anchor. Everybody needs somebody to keep them focused and yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with sharing knowledge. Like what you're trying to do, you share knowledge, you share your incredible wisdom at such a young age, and those are all positive things. And I could speak about how if you have the wrong people, you end up like, you know, like anybody on the left, or, you know, like the person we're speaking about, Candace, you know, Candace Owens is attempting to do good, but she's not doing good. She's literally trying to be like you, but she's the anti-you. So she's bringing everybody down. So we have to be careful with what type of anchor you attach yourself to. And anyway, so yeah, I mean, you know, like I would love to talk about God and all this other stuff, because there has to be some sort of connection between, you know, conservative ideology and survival and this whole Christian God thing. I don't know. I mean, it's just weird.
It'll be a journey. It'll be, you know, step-by-step process. And it's not going to be something that you resolve in 2 or 3 hours. But
it makes me wonder if Candace is a Christian or anybody like that. You know what I mean? Because I listen to all these people and I'm just thinking they all claim to be a Christian, but they're so willing to give up their rights so quick. You know what I mean? Because it's like, because somebody told me that too. They go, yeah, but that's the Christian thing because of Judas or something. And I don't know. I don't even know who Judas was. But they were saying that everybody denied Jesus and all this other stuff. And it's just how it works. And I don't know. But that's the thing. I don't know anything about things like that. But it is kind of like I've never met a conservative like you. Because like I and I know a lot of people who say they're conservative. I know a lot of people who want to be sovereign, but they're not sovereign. They're not. Now, I'm not saying you're sovereign because you're not, but you're the most conservative person I've met so far.
Really? I thought you were the most well, what
No,
about
no. Yeah,
about the
nobody's more conservative than me. But
the counselor is pretty conservative.
No, but she's not. She's not that conservative. But she's keeping me grounded. And she's keeping me focused. So so she's not conservative. She's more libertarian. And most libertarians aren't, because dude, the libertarians I know, they're sick in the head, dude. You know what I mean? They are. They're sick in the head. They do all kinds of weird sex stuff and and as thirsty as I might seem, I ain't nasty. I'm not.
I ain't nasty.
But I don't judge nastiness.
Yeah,
but some libertarians, like, you know what I mean? They like the human centipede and that horse stuff.
That's
like
gross.
I could tell you some nasty stuff, but as a conservative, I can't tell them, hey, look, the government should regulate stuff like that. But in theory, yeah, they shouldn't, because you know what you guys do is what you guys do. I wouldn't do it, but I also don't expect, because seriously, when you go to the hospital for what you do in the bedroom with animals or children or whatever it is, we shouldn't fix those problems. I think that's for the church or somebody else to do it, because we shouldn't be doing that. If we're not going to regulate it, why should we pay for it? And that's the thing. So that's like an ethical something that I don't have. Like, because I can't make ethical, moral judgments. It's just not what I do. But, but getting older, I'm thinking, yeah, we got to protect the weak and protect the weakest in our society. Has to be protected from libertarians, because if not, they're going to just use them as, because that's what happens. The powerful will always take advantage of the least powerful. And we have to have some kind of safety net for that. You know what I mean? So we just can't have a rich guy or a strong guy just taking advantage of those who are weaker than them. And that's including animals, because, no horse wants to have sex with some dude. You know what I mean? That's nasty. Or like in Mexico, how they have them donkey shows. That's legit.
Yeah.
Tijuana.
They have that. Yeah, Tijuana. Like,
yeah, that's
a real thing.
Like that, dude. They do that.
That's messed up.
Like all those jokes about, like, Adam Sandler does a lot of jokes like, oh, why you tell me to? No, not Adam Sandler. It was the 40-year-old virgin. Why do you always tell me to go fuck a goat? Because that's what they do in them other countries. They have sex with animals. And, animals don't want to do that, but, they got no say. So
that's literally in the opening scene of the 40-year-old virgin. It's just like, oh, man. Because so he's, it's the guy, Steve Carell. He's at the store. He's just like, I just had a weekend of video games and stuff. And then, like, what's his face? Seth Rogen's character walks, like, dude, I had a crazy weekend. We went down to Tijuana, Mexico, and it's like a woman screwing a horse, and he's like, you think like they're joking, like you think, oh, it's a woman screwing a horse, and you show up, it's actually a woman screwing a horse. Kind of feel bad for the horse, kind of feel bad for her, feel bad for the horse, like, but he says it in such a like a carefree, but it's true, like that stuff goes on.
That's real life, and oh man, I'm telling you now,
and it's a real thing.
That
woman, like, it was really giving it to her. Like,
but they usually use donkeys, but not that that's any better. But you know what I mean. But it's like, oh man. But I'm just like, the things that men will do is insane. And
this is Mexico.
Well, yeah, but Tijuana is just right there in San Diego. And a lot of these, like, oh man, just from work, like I worked with somebody who killed his wife and kids, And but the reason why he did it because he was on some kind of like trip, him and his wife, and he had a flashback from when he was living in Mexico. And this happens in Mexico all the time. There's always going to be like a couple of kids in your neighborhood that's open season. So all the dudes will just literally have sex with this kid, whether it's a guy or a girl, they don't care. And this dude, one of the patients, he was that guy. And so he had a flashback. He killed his wife, slit the kids' throats, and threw them in the dump. And that's because he was victimized his whole life. And
man,
and I'm telling you,
Americans are a soft people compared to
see, that doesn't happen in America.
but you, like, it's funny. I was talking to an Australian dude about this, and I think I might have told you this. He's like, dude, Americans are soft. Like, we think we're gung-ho with our guns and everything. It's like we're the most accepting, least racist, civil society.
Yep.
And it's like, you think like we say these things and it's like, dude, as an American, it freaks you out, but like, this goes on in Mexico. Like, Australians are like, dude, I talk to Americans like on the phone business wise, and they just want to like take you out to lunch, they want to buy you drinks, they want to have fun with you. It's like, dude, just get to the point. Like, we're here to do business. It's like, even Americans, like, we're a friendly people. We're a soft, friendly, accommodating, very hospitable people. And that's why you got 100,000 immigrants rushing the border every month, which is happening right now. That's happening right now.
And we do nothing about it.
And we do nothing about it because we're soft people.
Yeah, I'm telling you now. No, but that's the thing. And it's funny to me because you hear it on the news. Oh, they're seeking asylum from gang violence and they're going to get raped and killed. And my thing is like, well, you know what people should do in the hood? They should all go to rich neighborhoods and seek asylum there.
That's a good way to put it.
If you're living in South Side of Chicago or Baltimore or anywhere where there's gang violence, you should go, hey, man, if these illegal immigrants are... See, because here's the thing. Where are these immigrants going to go? The shitty parts of town, like where I came from. So if they're where I'm... So
we should get all the poor people existing now, go to a rich gated neighborhood and just say...
Yeah, and say, hey, we're seeking asylum. And they should go to the INS and say, we want asylum. We want to live here because I'm threatened. I'm a victim of gang violence. I'm going to get killed. I'm a real gang member, and I want to...
That's the thing, is like, all these progressives and these Democrats are like, leave the borders open. We got to be accommodating for immigrants and child separation at the border. I'm like, it's not even that. Logistically, 100,000 people a month through the southern border, it's like, where the hell are they going to sleep? You advocate for them. You want to take care of them. If you want to babysit 100,000 immigrants coming in, set up shop, I will actually, I think the U.S. government might even incentivize you. You want to start a nonprofit where you take care of illegal immigrants? I am willing to bet they would help you. But here's the thing.
No, but they advocate that's why they want them.
That's why they want
exactly right.
Right, but the people who vote for this, these liberals, these white liberals, you're not going to take care of an illegal immigrant. Get out of here. You're not going to take care of them. You are not going to extend them the same kind of American courtesy as you would to someone you were familiar with.
So the question is, who is taking care of them? Who's taking care of all of these immigrants coming through?
Welfare.
Well, not just welfare, but there's Catholic charities. Catholic charities get that, and that's why it's hard for me to because you are a strong Christian dude. But my thing is like this. You got the Texas Baptist group getting I think they got almost $10 million or something like that to help with the illegal immigrants. And in theory, because they're a Christian group, they have to help. But come on, do they really got to help? And the Catholic charities also getting money. The Koch brothers got money. Dude, all of these people who are quote unquote conservatives are getting money for helping these people. And progressives are they're advocating for it, but conservatives, so-called conservatives, are like business people. And they're like, fuck it, they're coming, so let's just get our money from it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's why I'm telling you, I'm losing faith in both sides, because it's you can't trust the conservatives. You definitely can't trust the progressives, because every progressive I don't care who you are, black or white, you're just a racist and you hate me for no reason. But it's the truth. Like, that's how you grew up. You grew up knowing any progressive, you hear the word progressive, it is just anti-me. It's just how it works. And, you know, they already destroyed every black person. So the next group is the Asians. You guys are systematically next. It's just how it goes. Because why? You know, the Jewish people, they're white for the most part, and they're, as long as they got money, they're going to be safe. Because, you know, they need people to make money to sustain the system.
Right.
But the Asian group will be next, and that's what's happening now. They're going after the Asians. Asians are being excluded from top universities, top jobs, and the only thing they have left is entrepreneurship. You know, they're being excluded from government. How many top Asian judges do you see? Seriously, how many Asian judges sit in any federal district court, like the Ninth Circuit, and any circuit court? How many Asians? 0 Asians sit on the Supreme Court. How many Asian judges sit in any circuit court? It's just a progressive plan. You know, Ted Cruz, who may be Cuban, you know, Hispanic, quote unquote, but he's a white dude. He's a white boy. And that's just how it works. Whites will always be protected as progressives. And progressive doesn't really care about conservative or liberal. It's just maintaining for their own. And blacks in 2019 are gone. They're no threat to anybody. Well, what about Obama? Obama was half white. You know, and his dad was not African American. His dad is African immigrant, and progressives have no problem with people outside of the country. They don't. Obama was not African American. He has no idea what African American, you know, what African Americans go through. He never understood it because his mom was white, American, and his dad was not African American.
And
he didn't grow up in the ghetto.
He was not raised by his father. He was raised in Hawaii, and you know.
Well, no, even if he was raised by, his dad is not African American. His dad is just black from Nigeria.
Kenya.
Or Kenyan. Yeah, his dad is Kenyan. The Kenyan experience is not the same as growing up in South Central or growing up in East Palo Alto, or it's not. It's so you know.
Knowing but knowing what you know now, I mean, what are your thoughts on African immigrants? I mean, do they fare? I know Nigerians fare.
They pose the same threat as illegal immigrants. It's the system is built specifically to destroy African Americans and Chinese, because they were the only 2 groups that ever posed a threat to the progressives way back in the day.
And that's the thing, is Nigerians who do very, very well get grouped in with black people still.
Yeah, well, no. Yes and no, because I can't really talk about some of these.
You know, the thing is, you don't hear Nigerian immigrants complaining about the same issues that poise the black community. They don't,
because they don't. Africans don't complain because they got nothing to complain about. They totally bypass the system. See, because this is what happens when they bring in these Africans. They hire these Africans and say, "Hey, look, we hire black people." You know, and I'm like, yeah, but these black people are educated. Yeah, they're well-mannered.
They're not the same type of black people that you encounter.
Yeah, they got they're just like, and I'm not saying like they're. I hate to say this, but I don't know how else to say it. I'm not articulate enough, but so forgive me. But these Nigerians or Kenyans, they're just like white people. You know, like they're like, you know, like how the whites used to be in Cupertino, like in a place like Cupertino. You know, white people are well-mannered people. They're not angry. You know, and you can get along with white people real easily because, you know, they don't fight. They're articulate. They're not going to judge it too quick. You know what I mean? Like, they're not afraid of you. You know, they're going to talk to you. And that's the same thing with these Africans. Africans, they're not going to yell at you. They're not going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're not going to try to take advantage of you in any way. You know, they're just whatever, you know. So they have an advantage over African Americans. Like, you know, if you're an angry dude and you're talking and then you just get like, because I go from 0 to 100 in like 5 seconds. You say something wrong, you look at me wrong, I'm at 100. And well, technically I'm always at 100, but then I'll go to light speed if you look at me wrong. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's just how it goes because of my upbringing, and I'm trying to dial it down so I'm not at 100. I want to be like at 25, you know, like a safe speed limit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you don't always want to be looking over your shoulder, and that's a terrible way to live. So that's another reason why you need an anchor, because you stop looking over your shoulder, because you kind of feel like, yeah, everything's going to be okay. But Africans from Africa, they don't have to worry about that. They're not raised that way. You know what I mean? Although, like, I did meet some Somalians, and they told me, it's like, yeah, but like they said, like, yeah, so like we walk around with no shoes because if you got Nikes and somebody, all they got to do is kill you for your shoes.
Yeah.
And then, but that guy has to worry about being killed. So we just walk around without wanting much, and that's why they slip in so easy to be a progressive, because you know they don't want anything. They want a better life, and they want to, you know, to make money, but they're not like, as you say, I don't know what thirsty means, but I just, you know.
Thirsty just means you're after women, like horny. You're just like, oh man.
Okay, so thirsty, but for material, like in the hood, you're thirsty for like a car. You're thirsty for, you know what I mean? Like that's what you want. You want a car. You want a big house. That's what you want. You know what I mean? Because you don't want just cockroaches everywhere. So you're driven for a better life. But in Africa, like from what these people tell me, you know, they just want a good life. They don't care about big houses or big cars. They just want to be taken care of, have a family, and just no troubles. And so, you know, and they're not soft. It's just that, you know, because they're always fighting and there's war and all this other stuff in these countries, they just don't have, like, America's unique in that we honestly believe in capitalism, free markets, and all that stuff. And we believe that's how we take care of people. But over there, it's more of a, like the kibbutz, like in Israel. I don't know if you ever heard of those things, but you know what a kibbutz is, right?
Not really.
Okay. Well, anyway, so kibbutz in Israel is kind of like a community that it's like a socialist communist community where everybody works towards one goal and everybody shares and all this other stuff. But it works because it's a small community. It will only, like communism could only work if it's like a group of like 1,000 or like a really small community. It can't work in a massive scale. It's just impossible because of human behavior. Won't happen. Mm-hmm. So like these Africans are used to that style of living, like the kibbutz and stuff like that. And so when they get over here, they fall right into line. You know what I mean? They believe in all this progressive ideology. Not that they believe in the racist part, because they don't know that it's racist.
They don't know any better, because you got to know the history of it in order for it.
Yeah. So, but they believe in that style of governing, because it does work, but in a small community. It doesn't work for an entire country or an entire state or an entire city. It might work for a neighborhood. You know, that's why HOAs work. You know, that's community, they pay their dues and fees, and it's okay for that small community, but it's not okay for anything bigger than that. You know, a friend of mine, well, not a real friend, but like, you know, an enterpriser, he told me, he was like, because he came from China, and he told me, he's like, he goes, look, communism would be paradise if people were not corrupt. And he goes, but people are corrupt, so it'll never happen. So, yeah. But, and that's why, and these guys, they don't believe in that stuff because they've never seen anything on a grand scale. But anyway, the point is, these progressives bring in these types of immigrants so they can get away with not helping the African-American community because their quotas are met. I got 10 black people. I shipped them in from Kenya. I shipped them in from Nigeria. And that ain't right, because you're supposed to hire people from the hood, but they don't. And and it's the same thing with these illegal immigrants. They bring in all these illegal immigrants to destroy the black community. So, and just for me, from what I know, immigration has always been done in our history from 1870 something to today to destroy and target the African American community, to bypass affirmative action, to bypass public education, because public education, like whenever you hear people say, oh, free college, that's just a way to stop Black people from ever. See, because they already stopped Asians from going to Harvard and Princeton, right? How, like, you can have a perfect score on your SAT and still not get it because you're Chinese. But how are we going to stop Black people from getting into Harvard and Princeton and Yale? Easy. Make every university free. And when every university is free, guess what happens? You have to go to the university in your neighborhood. So if you live like in East San Jose or some Tenderloin in San Francisco, you got to go to San Francisco State.
So this is interesting because the only way they can mandate for you to take advantage of so-called free education paid for by taxes is, hey, you can only go within the zip code that you reside in.
It's just like how it is in education.
And that's how, and when we look back in history to tie it back, Brown versus Board of Education in the 50s made it so that you could only go to schools in your district. So if you lived in a poor neighborhood, you had no choice.
Prior to the Board of Education, you had to go to school in your zip code. Wait, I'm confused. Brown versus Board of Education in the 50s made it so that before that you could go to any school. I see what you're saying. Because it was part of that civil rights. Yeah, so it was. Yeah, so there was segregation.
Poor neighborhoods, so you couldn't.
Yeah, so if you lived in the poor neighborhood, you have to go to that neighborhood school. So if you lived in a Black neighborhood in like the 40s, you had to go to that school.
See, that's interesting because I've gotten into progressive debates before I was as informed as I am now, which was only like 3 or 4 months ago, with people.
Really?
Yeah. I know like 10 times more than I knew even 4 or 5 months ago. So I'm always.
You've been only doing this for 3 months?
Well, I mean.
Dude, that's impressive. It makes me want to believe in Jesus more. I'm like, wow.
Since last August, because, so Steve, here's the thing. I'm not like a recent conservative. I've always been one, but I was more liberal because I
believe in this.
Huh?
I think I honestly believe there has to be some inherent conservatism in Christianity. That's what I'm seeing.
It is. It means your rights and your belief in God and standing by your values and not compromising. That's what it is. And it reflects. When you say I can't be bought and all that kind of stuff, right? Like people like that know that we find our worth not in material objects. We don't find our worth in chasing money. I mean, all right, I don't want to get all gospelly here, but in Matthew, dude, you can't serve 2 masters. You can't serve God and money. I mean, you can make money.
but that's true.
Yeah.
No, but that is true because like if you that's how you get trapped in the streets. Like if because like I've always been very independent because nobody could ever buy me. So you do things to survive, but you don't put your survival.
And that's the thing is when people say the Bible preaches against being rich, that's not the most accurate thing. The thing is, money can corrupt you. And in Matthew, it says you can't serve 2 masters. You cannot serve both God and money. But here's the thing. Listen to that for a second. People say, oh, that means I can't have money. No, that is not what it says. It just says you cannot serve 2 masters.
Yeah. No, but it's true.
So it's like, so to tie it back to, what were we talking about?
We're talking about education, but still, because I just trip out, dude. Like some of the stuff you say just trips me out. I'm thinking.
Some of the stuff you say trips me out. So we learn from each other, which is good. But what I'm saying is, I've gotten into the debate where people are like, dude, institutionalized racism exists because Black people weren't granted those opportunities to go to whatever school. It's like, dude, before 1950, you could go to any school you wanted to.
No, you couldn't go. See, you had to go. So from 1800 to 1912, you could go to any school. And then Woodrow Wilson brought real segregation.
Right.
See, because like in the North, you could, like if you were in Boston, you couldn't go to a good school. You had to go to your neighborhood. Like, so it just like in the 1800s, Blacks actually had better schools than whites. So it served you well to go to a Black school in the South because you had schools like Florida A&M or whatever that was teaching top-notch education. And in the North, the whites had superior education. So if you're a Black living in the North, you really wanted to go to a white school, but the schools had, you didn't have to do this. So so with the Brown versus the Board of Education, you could not go to any school you want. You had to go to your assigned school prior to Brown versus the Board of Education. After the Board of Education happened, then you can go to any school. And that was only for like 5-6 years. Yeah, let's say like 8 years. And then once they passed the Civil Rights Act of 64, it went back to the old days where you had to go to school where you were assigned by that zip code. And now they're trying to make colleges that way. Because right now we have a system where you have to go to your local school based on your zip code. Mm-hmm. That's what it is right now. Free education, K-12, you have to go to your assigned school because it's free. And that's what makes sense. Your property taxes pay for those schools. So if the college university system is done that way, you now eliminate any black person from ever going to any Ivy League school, unless they're a legacy.
And a lot of these progressives like AOC who are advocating for free college and education means you in turn limit opportunities for people when you want free education, because now they can pass a mandate by saying you can only go here.
But not just, no, but it's more nefarious than that. That's that's letting them off the hook. She's specifically trying to destroy black people. Why? Because she is Hispanic herself. And this is like a Hispanic thing. Latin people hate being black. They hate it. You got to watch that. That's what I'm saying. Watch that documentary. It was a very good documentary. Being black in Latin America, dude, it's because people don't believe me. They have no idea what it's like to be Latin, black Latino. They hate you in Latin America. They hate you.
But wait, but how come Latin people, right, don't want to be black, but then they love doing black things? Come on, let's be honest here.
No, but here's the thing, but that's the point. Everybody believes dancing and being good at music is a black thing, but it's not. It's just, dude, everybody wants to dance. Everybody wants to.
Filipinos, man, you ever seen them? The Asians, dude. We look at them like Koreans and Chinese are like, why are they just good at singing? Like, were they just born good at singing and dancing?
Dude,
like,
is everybody Bruno Mars? Filipino. Dude, like because you know how they talk about cultural appropriation? Dude, okay, so, you know, blacks invented scratching and DJing like that way. But, okay, so the best DJ who ever lived was a Filipino. And all of these DJs after him, whether it's like, they're called the finger bangers, the ones, have you heard of the, it's in Vegas. They're in Vegas now. The,
Blue Man Group?
Some dancing, the Jabberwockies, you know, with hip hop and breaking and stuff like that. Dude, they're all Filipinos. There's one black guy. You know what I mean? There's like a bunch of Filipinos and one black guy doing breaking and doing the robot. You know what I mean? And dude, Filipinos took over hip hop. You know, as far as DJing and dancing goes, all the best dance crews are Filipino. They're all DJs are Filipino. Like, when I was heavily into the clubs and running clubs and things like that, all the best DJs are Filipino except for one Mexican dude. but that one Mexican dude, he's my boy. That's my go-to guy. And you know, at least in the Bay. So it was nothing but Filipinos. And if you say Qbert, everybody knows him. Everybody knows who Qbert is. Every DJ on the planet knows Qbert, and they know his crew. Yeah, I forgot his DJing crew, but either way, but yeah, it's just crazy thing. So it's not like dancing and singing is like a black thing. It's, dude, it's everybody around the world. They love dancing. They love, dude, I can go anywhere and I dance, I'm getting laid. You know what and that's if you don't know how to dance, you're not getting laid. And because, you know, fighting will only get you laid so much. You know what I mean? It doesn't get you laid. Everybody freaks out.
It's funny you should say that. Tree of Logic, a dear friend of mine, made a video about that. It's like, dude, the reason why these Latin guys get it on and you guys don't is because they know how to dance. And if you know how to dance, it doesn't matter. It's the universal language in every culture. It puts a Pavlovian thing in every person's head where they must be good at something else.
Yeah.
And also, here's the thing. We're drawn to that as people. Doesn't matter who you are. You're drawn to music and you're drawn to dancing. You know why? Because we're rhythmic beings by default. The thing that keeps you alive is a heartbeat. So you have an inherent sense of rhythm. It's like it's part of your nature to dance.
Yeah, no, but and music, if you learn through music, your mathematical abilities are heightened with music.
Well,
And
I don't know
same,
about that. I'm not very good at math, but
no, that's crazy. It's like we're the opposite. Jesus, it's just like math comes easy to me for some reason. But anyway, but same thing with fighting. Like if you're listening to music, you can do athletic things way easier because your mind is no longer focused on whatever activity you're doing, whether it's fighting, running. You're doing it automatically. It's
right.
just like, and you let the music control like your brain to just do it for you. It's a weird thing, but and I don't know, like I once I noticed that the music was taken over, like, nah, this is like, I want to be aware of what's happening because I want to be a really good technical, athlete. And that's why I never trained, because you see a lot of these dudes with these earbuds.
Yeah.
They're not going to be the best if you use them because you're going to be good, but I'll be better than them because I'm more aware of what I'm doing. I can feel my pain. I can feel like, you know what I mean? I can feel things like if I feel a twinge in my knee or something, it's because I don't have music.
That's what people say. Like, you should work out if you really want to get good. You should work out without listening to music. Really, like, be one with what you're doing. Like,
yeah,
there's noise around you and all that, but that's fine. You need to be like, some people are like, dude, I can't work out unless I listen to music. I can't squat unless I listen to beats. It's like, if you really want to grow, you really want to focus on that mind muscle connection, like, lose the music.
well, you want to focus, but like, because there's a rhythm to working out, but you want to develop naturally. You don't want the music, because like somebody was telling me about Thailand and how they, like, in the beginning of the fights, the music is slow and then they speed it up
With the
after
drum.
the second round. Yeah, and then by the fifth round or sixth round, it's super fast and everybody's moving. I'm thinking, see, I don't want to be like that. I don't want, you want to control yourself. You don't want the music controlling you because then you're like a little monkey. With the music, the monkey guy,
The wind-up boxes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm thinking, Jesus, you know what I mean? Like, they really want us like animals. They really do. But anyway, going back to the education thing. Yeah. So whenever you hear people talking about free colleges, that's just a way to destroy. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand how progressives have successfully taken out every minority. And they go, not the Asians. Yeah, they have, all the Asians have are business. And you can regulate them. You can regulate them. You can zone them into areas. And they will never get into Harvard, Princeton, and Yale because they can do that. That's what affirmative action does.